Okay, folks, so just imagine now, right? You want to buy groceries or pay your rent or do any little thing with your money in your account, but then when you take a stop, your account empty. You haven't been hacked. Your own bank took the money out of the account. And even worse, you say a notice, a lien on the account saying you still owe another $30,000. Can't happen. Did happen with NCB. What happened? What went wrong? Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Dion Jackson Miller. Stay tuned. So we started seeing the information first on social media, right? People started posting saying, warm to their money. The account has been emptied. There's a lien on the account. NCB said them owe money. What is going on? So what happened? Here's what we know so far. NCB, Visa debit card holders who use those cards to book rides on the Uber app, initially, they would see a charge on the card reflecting an estimate of the cost of the ride. Now, what is supposed to happen is that initial amount for the estimate would be reversed and then the correct total would then be charged to the card. So essentially, people who were using those cards to book rides on the Uber app weren't paying for them. So at the time, it looked like they were getting free rides. But me and you know, say nothing not free. So the owner for the money come for the money. In other words, NCB had access to their customers' accounts, of course, and they withdrew from the accounts the amounts that had been owing for the different rides that had been taking place using the Uber app that had been charged with their card. And if somebody had run up such a big tab that the money in their account couldn't cover the amount that NCB said was owed, then they put a lien on the account. So the customer would see a notice saying, you still owed, for instance, $30,000. I should say that some people are disputing the amounts that NCB says they owed. And of course, people started to cuss, hence or seeing what was happening on social media. So one customer, for instance, said NCB has now deducted $45,900 from my account and counting, with charge dates going as far back as May. How far back are they going? My heart hurt me. Another customer said, bro, I just saw a lien of $68,000 on my account. So with all the controversy, all the excitement, NCB put out a statement. This is what NCB said. They said there was a technical issue that resulted in certain transactions not being charged to customers' accounts, and they said that led to unpaid balances and in some cases potential fraudulent activity or scams. According to NCB, unusual activity patterns, including instances where some customers completed an exceptionally high number of Uber transactions, some exceeding 700 rides in a single month, indicating, NCB said, possible misuse or exploitation. So the bank said that they had processed the owed balances where there were funds in the accounts. In other words, if the money you had in the account covered the amount you owed for the Uber rides, they would take that money. They said they temporarily placed liens on accounts with insufficient funds until the outstanding amounts are recovered. And they said accounts that had been flagged for suspicious activities would be blocked pending further review. Now, according to NCB, about 8,000 accounts were affected. They also said they had temporarily frozen about 300 accounts for further investigation due to unusually high volumes and types of Uber transactions. Now, an NCB rep told me that those were accounts that showed malicious activity. That is thieving and scamming. My words, not her words. So a lot of people did realize that the money wasn't coming out of their accounts. Some people realized that sooner or later, NCB was going to want their money. So this customer, for instance, said, be honest, we all saw those NCB Uber transactions being reversed over and over again and still decided to continue using and abusing it. LOL. Glad I made sure to switch to my Scotia card from early because I saw this coming. Others, though, decided to take advantage and they ran up a whole heap of rides for themselves and their family and their friends because, again, at the time, people seemed to think this was free and that the day of reckoning would never come. Others went even further and apparently some kind of scam developed whereby they would pay for the ride, then they would pay a big tip, and then the driver would give them back some of the tip and keep some of the tip for themselves. And the NCB rep I spoke to told me that one of the transactions that raised a red flag was for a ride that cost, say, about $800, but then the tip was for $30,000. So scammer and stupid scam up on top of it. And very helpfully, for those of us who were trying to understand what was going on, people were posting on social media, explaining everything. One young lady, for instance, put out a whole video explaining that she knew very well that the money wasn't coming out of her account for the rides. So she was just running up rides, booking rides for herself, her friends, her family, and how she had no intention of paying the rest of the money that was owed. So did people really not know that the money was being charged to their account? Some people said they didn't know, and I can't believe that, Not everybody is going to be checking every single transaction on their account to make sure it goes through, especially when it's for a relatively small amount of money. But for people who use Uber a whole heap, I would think the more often they use the app, the more reverse transactions would have showed up on their account. And at some point, you must see that the money is not coming out of the account. And the more likely, I think, and the harder it's going to be to make a case that you didn't know or there's no way you could have known. I saw quite a few people saying NCB shouldn't have taken the money all at once and they should have warned the customers before they took out the money. Now look, I spoke to one customer who said once she realized what was going on, she went straight to an ATM and cleaned out her account to make sure that NCB wouldn't be able to draw money out of her account. So let's be real, this was money that was owed. If NCB had sent out a notice saying, hey guys, this is what we figured out, we're now going to be taking back the money out of your account, come on, what do you think would have happened? A stampede to the nearest ATM and people cleaning out their accounts and moving their accounts. We know that's what would have happened for the most part, right? Come on, be real. Now, when you look at NCB's terms and conditions of doing business with them, right, what you see is that it says any payment or other credit to an account of the customer may be applied to any debit on the account in such order as the bank considers fit. In other words, any money that comes into an account can be used by the bank to pay a debt that's owed. Now, I'm not saying that's a be-all and end-all of the matter, but it is a starting point. You do start by looking at what was agreed between the customer and the institution in terms of how business on their account should be conducted, and that's what it says. I do have some questions though. So when exactly did NCB know about the payment glitch? And did NCB, as soon as they knew, alert customers and tell them to stop using their Visa debit cards to book Uber rides? Because while they certainly have a right to recover money that's owed to them, they should also have taken steps as soon as possible to minimize the amount that was owed and to really put an end to this whole situation as soon as possible. In relation to customers now, when did they realize that the money for the rides wasn't being deducted from their accounts? What did they do? Did they report it to NCB? Did they stop using the card, use another card maybe if they wanted to book Uber? Did they make sure there was money in the account for whichever day NCB decides that they might come for their money? How carefully were people monitoring their accounts? Now, obviously, the answer to those questions is going to differ from person to person, so different people are probably going to be in different positions in relation to this issue. Now, the bank did say, a bank rep told me in an interview, that anybody who is in financial difficulties because money was withdrawn from their account should go to the bank and talk to them and they'll work out something. And I do hope people check that out and test it if indeed they're having trouble. I have some other questions though. So in relation to the accounts with extra large number of rides, 700 rides in a month, 800 rides in a month, you see things like that and you go, scammer, scammer, scammer. So in relation to those issues, and again, looking at NCB's terms and conditions, it says a bank shall be entitled to suspend some or all transaction if they suspect that the account is being used for any unlawful activity or any activity that the bank considers to be improper. So I know investigations are taking place. Can they prove that there has been any kind of fraud? Has there been fraud? Is anyone going to be arrested? Are we going to get more details about what happened? Because NCB says they're doing an investigation into the matter, and I really think this is something, whenever they complete the investigation, that the results really should be shared with the public, because the public does have an interest in issues like this in terms of how you deal with customers when something like this comes up. And then also, how long did it take NCB to pick up that there was an issue here? Since these transactions seem to have been going back months, is it that NCB's systems didn't flag this problem for months? And if so, how come? If that happened as well, what's being done to fix it? Because look, nothing is perfect, especially technology, right? Institutions all over the world have all kinds of glitches in systems. It happens. But this seems to have been going on for a while before it was either detected or action was taken. And I want to know why, what happened there. I think we all need to know that. So let's see what happens now. But I have to leave it there for now. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, remember, do like the video, share the video with somebody you think might be interested, and subscribe to the channel. All of that helps us grow. I'm Dion Jackson Miller. Thanks again for joining me. See you next time.